My name is Lizzie, and today I'm going to guide you through a short Yin Yoga class designed to relieve tension in the back. We're going to start with a few stretches into the shoulders before moving down to gentle twists and gentle releases for the lower back. So this class is perfect for if you generally feel a lot of tension in these areas. However, if you do have any pre-existing injuries or medical conditions and there is anything you're not certain about, please always check with a doctor or a physiotherapist before you embark on any new practices. In Yin Yoga, we hold poses for a longer period of time than in other forms of yoga, and as this is a shorter practice today, we're going to be holding each pose for approximately 10 breaths. We're going to need a few props today. I am going to use one block in a pose towards the end of the class, but if you don't have any yoga specific props at home, you can always use books, cushions, whatever you have available to you. You can always usually find some way to use a cushion somewhere in a pose that makes things feel a little bit more comfortable for you. So that being said, I invite you to join me in sitting on the floor, on your mat, in whatever space you have available to you, in a comfortable seated position, and gently close your eyes. Take in a deep inhale and a long, slow exhale. Another inhale and exhale. We're going to start our practice with a pranayama breathing technique called Nadi Shodhana, or alternate nostril breathing. We're going to come into this practice by taking our first two peace fingers and placing them in between our eyebrows. And with our thumb, we're going to close off the right nostril, and on an inhale, we're going to breathe in through the left nostril. Once we reach the top of the inhale, we're going to close the left nostril with our pinky and ring finger and release the right nostril and exhale out through the right. Inhale in through the right. Close the right, exhale through the left. Inhale through the left, and when you reach the top, hold just for a couple of seconds. Release, exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Hold. Exhale through the left. Repeat this a few times at your own pace, maybe adding a count of 4 to your inhales and outhales if that feels appropriate for you. On your next exhale out through your left nostril, gently release the hand from your head bringing that hand back down to your knee. And take a few moments to notice the effects of this practice. On your next inhale, gently open your eyes, and we're going to come straight away into our first pose. So if you're seated up on a cushion or any kind of prop, you can stay on this if it feels comfortable for you. We're going to be doing a seated position, but if you would prefer to have your hips in contact with the floor, then we're going to gently lean forward and remove that prop from underneath us. We're going to come into Gomukhasana, otherwise known as cow face pose. And to come into this, we're going to step our left foot forward, keeping the knee bent, and then gently guide the right knee across so that the right knee is in our center and the right foot is on the outside of the left hip. And then we're going to gently bend into the left knee and then adjust the hips so that they're in between the feet and so that the knees are close to being in one straight line. And then you can play with the distance of how far apart you have the feet. Maybe you want to walk the feet forward, maybe you want to walk them closer to you. Just find a place that feels comfortable for you in your hips. Maybe you even want to, if there is a gap between your knees, take a cushion or some kind of prop and place it in between the knees, just to give you a bit of extra support here. And if you notice that your left hip is rocking up and away from the floor, it might mean that you would be better off sitting up on a prop or some kind of cushion. And then from here, we're going to breathe and feel into the hips a little bit. And then on the next exhale, we're going to reach our right arm up to the sky, bend into that right arm and place the hand at the base of the neck. We're going to reach around with the left arm, grab a hold of that right elbow and guide it a little bit further across the body. So this is step one. And here you might have a temptation to drop the head forward to make space for the arm, but as much as you can, try to keep that head pushing backwards into the forearm and the elbow reaching back towards the back of the room. You can stay here, or if you'd like to get a little bit of a deeper stretch into the upper arm, we're going to reach behind us with our left hand, and if you're able to clasp your fingers, then go ahead and do so. Otherwise, feel free to take a strap or a scarf and place that in your right hand, drop it down your back and take hold of it, or you can even just grab the back of your t-shirt. Pressing down with that left shoulder and pressing backwards into the right arm with your head. This can be a fairly intense pose to start off with, so I invite you to guide your breath to wherever you feel the tension the most. Encourage the shoulders down away from the ears. And keep your breath long and slow and deep. Every inhale filling the belly with air, and every exhale sighing it out, letting your body sink deeper into the pose. On your next exhale, gently release that clasp of the hands. Release the hands back to the floor and gently lean back to place your feet on the floor. Maybe it feels good to rock your legs from side to side just to release any lingering tension in the hips before we go on to the second side. And then gently we set up for the second side, placing the left foot on the outside of the right hip. And then taking that right foot and placing it on the outside of the left, stacking the right knee on top of the left this time. And again, play with the distance of the feet to the body. Maybe you notice you need a cushion on this side, either under your sitting bones or between the knees. Take a few moments to settle here. And always remember, one pose might feel completely different from one side to the next. And that's okay. Just listen to your body and notice what it's trying to tell you. On your next exhale, lift that left hand to the sky and gently drop the left hand towards the base of the neck. Either reach up and take hold of that elbow, gently guiding it further back, remembering to press with your head back into the forearm into the head, and keeping that elbow pointing up and reaching towards the sky. When we inhale, drop that right arm around if you're going for a bind, and either reach up and clasp your hands, clasp the back of a t-shirt, or clasp a strap. Inhale here. Exhale, encouraging the shoulders to drop. Inhale and exhale. If the crossing of the hips is too intense for you at any point, feel free to come into a normal cross-legged seated position, keeping the bind of the arms. Our aim with this practice is to target into the back more than the hips, but it can be nice to just add on a little something extra for some people. On the next exhale, release the clasp of the hands and bring the hands back down to the feet, maybe taking a hold just to ground for a minute. We're going to come straight away into our next pose, which is going to be Sphinx pose. So we're going to unwind the cross of our legs, maybe dropping our feet from one side to the other. And in our own time, we're going to make a little space if we need to and gently come down to lying on our bellies. We can rest our head on our hands just for a second here. On an inhale, we're going to plant our forearms to the floor and imagine you're gripping the floor with your hands and drawing your elbows towards your upper body, reaching your heart in between your chest, in between your shoulders. And you can play a little bit with the distance of the hands here, maybe walking the hands away from you, If it's a little intense or you feel any crunching or pinching in the lower back, if you'd like a little more, you can walk the hands closer towards you. You can also, if you want, take a cushion and rest it underneath your chest to make this more of a restorative pose. Take whatever option is comfortable for you in your body in this moment. Encourage the shoulders to draw down away from the ears. Maybe adding a little smile into the corners of the mouth. Keep reaching your heart forward. Your elbows drawing backwards. Breathe deeply, feeling every breath expanding throughout your rib cage. Take your last 3 breaths here. And on an exhale, gently bring your chest and head to the floor. Maybe you're resting your head on your hands once again. Maybe rocking the hips a little from side to side just to release the lower back a little. In your own time, gently make your way over onto your back in whatever way is comfortable for you. Bend into your knees, placing your feet flat to the ground, hips in line with each other, knees in line with the hips, toes pointing forward. And from here, we're going to lift up our right leg, flex into the right foot, and cross that right foot just underneath the left knee. The right knee opening out towards the side. So if you want a little view of my legs, this is the shape we're looking for. Encourage that right knee to press open and away from you. Maybe you stay here, right? If you'd like a little bit more, we're going to lift up with that left leg and maybe take a bind either behind the calf or on top of the shin, pressing into that right leg with the right elbow to encourage the right leg to open even more. Encourage your shoulders to relax here. If you're pressing into your right leg, then there needs to be a little bit of activation in your right arm, but keep it gentle. It's important to keep the right foot flexed here to help protect the knee. On an exhale, gently lower the left foot to the ground, releasing the clasp of the hands. And before we go over onto the next side, we're going to come into a spinal twist. So we're going to, keeping the legs as they are, press into that left foot and shift our hips slightly over to the right. From here, we're going to cross our legs fully so that the right leg is on top of the right knee is on top of the left, and then gently drop our hips towards the side, maybe reaching the arms out to a T. If your knees don't quite touch the floor here, you can always place a prop, a block, or a cushion underneath the knees for a little bit of extra support. The cross of the legs feels a little bit too intense for you, you can always uncross them and just have the legs stacking one on top of the other. But there's no right or wrong here, and each variation of the pose just triggers slightly different sensations. So it's interesting to play around with the different variations and see what feels best for you on your body in this time, on this day. You can maybe place your left hand on top of that right knee to encourage it to move a little further towards the ground. But again, this is a yin class, so we don't need to force our body anywhere that it doesn't want to be. Take 3 last breaths here. On an inhale, gently lift your hips back to center, and then release that cross of the leg, guiding your hips gently back into the center line. Keeping the right foot flat to the floor, we're going to lift our left leg and bend into that right knee, placing the right foot underneath the left foot underneath the right knee. Can either stay here, pressing that right knee open, the left knee open, or if we like a little bit deeper, we can lift that right leg away from the ground, either binding beneath the thigh or on top of the calf, whatever feels right for you. This side feels a little bit more intense for me, so I'm actually gonna bind underneath the thigh because it feels right for me today. Remember to flex into that left foot. The right foot can be loose. Maybe you want to encourage that left hip to open a little more, pressing into the left leg with your left elbow. And let the shoulders relax. Notice if you're holding tension anywhere that doesn't need to be working right now. Quite often we hold a lot of tension in our face when we're thinking, and there's very few occasions where we actually need to engage our face as much as we do, so Just notice if there's any tension around your eyes, around your mouth, around your forehead, and see if you can gently encourage them to relax. Breathe deeply here. On your next exhale, gently release that right foot back towards the ground. Cross the left leg fully over the right. Maybe press up into that right foot, shifting the hips over towards the left. Bring the arms out into a T and gently let those legs and knees drop towards the right. Maybe putting a cushion underneath your knees to help close the gap between your knees and the floor. Maybe adding a little bit of extra pressure with that right hand to encourage the knees to drop a little deeper. Try to keep your left shoulder grounded on the floor and feel that twist throughout the back, bringing out the muscles. Direct your breath to wherever you feel tension. Maybe in the outer hip, maybe across the back. For me, it feels good to breathe and feel my rib cage expanding into the tensed muscles, giving them a gentle massage with my breath. Let the belly relax. On your next inhale, gently release the arms to the side and gently guide the hips back up to center, pressing into the hips and realigning the spine. Now we're going to come into our final pose, which is going to be supported bridge pose. And I'm going to use one block for this. Again, if you don't have a block available to you, feel free to use a pile of cushions or books. I was using some pretty chubby hardback books for a while before I got an actual yoga block, so they work perfectly fine for most poses. So to come into the pose, what we're going to do is gently press into our feet and bring that block maybe on its lowest level. If you know that you're pretty flexible in your hips, you can always take it a step up onto its second level. For me, I think today I'm going to keep it on its lowest level. And then from here, either we rest our hips down and keep our feet flat to the floor, or if we'd like a little stretch into the connective tissues, we want to stretch our legs out long. I'm feeling the stretch. Maybe rolling the shoulders a little bit down, encouraging them to draw away from our ears once again. Maybe you need to play around a little with the position of the block to find a space that's comfortable for you. I think mine might actually be a little bit too high up. There we go. There's never a rush to reach whatever the final variation of a pose might be. So take your time and explore and find what works best for you in your body. We're going to take 10 deep breaths here. On your next inhale, gently, if your feet were outstretched, bring them back flat to the floor and gently press into those hips and remove the block from underneath you. And then gently come down into Shavasana, releasing the legs out long, maybe drawing the shoulder blades further down the back. Hands facing up towards the sky, down towards the earth. Maybe if you would like, you can place a cushion under the knees to release a little bit of the strain on the lower back. And take a few moments just to breathe deeply here, noticing the effects of this practice on your body. Notice if there's anywhere you're still holding tension in your feet, your toes, your ankles, your thighs, your knees. your hips, your belly, your lower back, your chest, your neck, your arms and your hands, your shoulders, the back of your head, your eyes, your nose, your jaw, the top of your head. Just notice if there's anywhere that's working and encourage it to gently let go. Any thoughts that drift into your head right now, notice them and let them pass by. There's nothing more you need to be thinking or doing right now than just lying where you are and taking the time to be with yourself. Gently start to draw your awareness back to the room. If you would like to stay in Shavasana longer, please feel free to turn off this video now and lie here for as long as you want. But if you're following with me, gently start to bring a little bit of movement back to the fingers and hands and feet. Maybe reaching overhead and taking a nice long stretch, reaching out through the spine. And on an exhale, roll over onto whichever side feels most comfortable for you. Staying curled up here for just a few minutes or a few moments. And gently in your own time, plant your hands to the floor and press back up, coming up into a seated position. Maybe grabbing a prop and using it to lift and support the hips. Your hands on your knees. Taking a deep breath, filling up through the lungs. With an exhale, sigh it out. Inhale, inhaling to a count of 4. When you exhale, exhale to a count of 5. Inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let your breath return to its natural rhythm. Bring our hands forward to heart center, pressing our hands slightly together. We close our practice with a chant of Om 1 time. Inhale to chant. Om. Give thanks to yourself for taking the time to give yourself a bit of care today. Thank you so much for joining me here. I hope to see you again.